Miss Sanders, first of all. Keep her in the background. So, this is going to be hard, the strobe lights. Unlike the amateur guys last night, I wrote some notes down. I'm not going to try to freestyle like that crap last night. So, more times, oh, that's perfect. You'd think it would get easier to do this, but it's pretty difficult to do. So I try to make it a little funnier so I don't cry. Okay. So, how you doing? All right. So Amy and I sat down and we helped with the guest list and realized how many great family members and friends Paige and Brian have. The other thing I realized that names like Vinny, Joey, Bag of Donuts, I was going to get to meet some real good fellows here tonight, and it happened. How's it going? Joey goes by Joe, just so you know. But it just appeared to me that how important friends and family are to these two. So, all right, let's just get through this part. So Amy and I have also had the pleasure of spending time with Brian's mom, Sue, his sister, Colleen, and his brother, Patrick. We consider it our privilege to welcome them to our family. Okay, I got my shit together. Barry said last time, for a couple minutes you were jumping around, but not this time. Here we go. Some of you know, 6 months ago we had another wedding. Paige's twin, Whitney, was married. And apparently my father of the bride speech went viral on YouTube. It's got 53 views. 20 of those are mine. I'm just saying because I just needed to look at it again and wonder why I said some of the stuff that I said. But Leah has the link if anybody wants to check it out. So I started working on this speech and trying to figure out how I was going to follow up that big one that got 53 hits. And I had nothing. I mean, I had nothing whatsoever. And so, needless to say, I went to Amy, who's, she always gives me sound advice. And I said, what do you do? What should I do? And she said, keep it short because there's going to be a really young crowd there. They don't want to sit around and listen to you talk when they know it's open bar and the band is getting ready. So we're down to 15 minutes left. So so here goes the roasting part. I'm sorry, but that's how I do it. I remember when Paige and Brian were dating in college, and we did not know much about Brian, and she told us he played baseball at USC Upstate, where they went to school together, and he was from Jersey. That's how she said it too, Jersey. So this is so funny. Paige was home one weekend, Brian's in his senior year, and she was so excited because Upstate was playing baseball and the game was on ESPN 7 or something. So she got us all around the TV, and I mean, we really didn't even know him that well yet, and started watching this game, and I quickly realized two things. I realized how much he loved him because each of the 3 times he struck out, she turned to us and she said, he'll get it next time. And the second thing I realized was that he dropped, we heard this last night, he dropped a routine fly ball, a routine pop-up actually, to third base. And our family room was dead quiet. This is true. Somebody said it last night. So what I realized was Paige would not be marrying a future Major League Baseball player.
I still believe, Brian. I still believe.
We all saw it, Brian. It's on TV. Since then, we really got to know him well. It was a little tough at first because for those that know Paige, everybody knows she talks a ton. And so Brian finally came to our house, and I remember they were sitting in the kitchen booth, and I had my list of questions that I asked all the guys. And first I would say, so Brian, where are you from? And Paige would go, he's from Jersey, Cherry Hill. And it was like, okay, that didn't sound like Brian, but that's fine. What are you studying? Criminal justice. He's studying criminal justice. So I still hadn't heard Brian talk, but the bonding moment came where I finally just looked at Paige and I'm like, would you just shut up and let Brian talk? And he just went like that. And we made eye contact and we bonded right at that point. So Brian graduates, moves to Atlanta, and he becomes a private investigator. And it was during this time we really got to know him because the stories he would tell us, Paige didn't know anything about it because he was out working and she had no idea how to answer the questions for him. So, but we really did. All the guys last night talked about how hard of a worker he is. He is. He flat out works. So the people he was investigating, he followed them all over the Southeast, and these are people that were accused of receiving disability benefits, but really might not have been hurt or sick. And so he had to go out and take pictures with drones and all this crap and prove this. But the problem was he started talking to us and really enjoyed hearing it, but we quickly learned that we thought he was going to get shot and killed. True, we really did. I mean, he would come home, I'm like, we're worried. It was like Swainsboro, and man, it's tough down there, and it just, you know, we were really worried about him. I literally tried 20 times that year to sit casually at the kitchen table and say, you know, maybe take a peek and look at something else to do for your career. He said, no, my dad said, never quit until I've been there a year. He was right, of course. Finally, about a year, had to be right at a year, Brian is in Mississippi, and he's following this girl. I may have the story a little wrong, so following this girl for like 2 days, and she's out on disability. And on the second day, she goes to a college football game. This girl's hurt or sick. And so Brian's got to follow her into this football game. And he gets in there, and the only problem is the game was two black colleges playing against each other. And needless to say, when Brian walked in, his cover was sort of blown. So, I think it was at that moment, and he's in that stadium thinking, I'm probably going to check out some different careers. All right. You're done. Sorry. I love this guy, by the way, so that's my way of saying. So for all of you who grew up in a large family, you're probably aware of the sibling ranking system. In our family, yeah, you hear me? In our family, because it's all girls, the 5 girls decide who dad likes best. I'm positive that the other girls have thought this out before we got here tonight, but and then they rank them 1 through 5. So number 1 is my favorite, and number 5 is my least favorite. And I never heard of this before because I grew up with just one sister. And my dad called my sister Babe, and he called me shit for brains. So I pretty much knew where I was ranked out of the 2. And where's Jen? That's a true story. So, anyhow, as long as this ranking system has been in place, Paige has consistently been ranked number 1 by her sisters, meaning she's my favorite. So I think the system's a little rigged. I don't necessarily agree with it, but every sister unanimous says she's your favorite. proof, I remember walking by Bailey's room when Bailey was about 6, and I heard her talking to Hannah, who's 4, just explaining to her, like, don't worry about it, Paige is always going to be Dad's favorite. So, I think that's where it all started at. And I've told all of them, so there's some large families here, I'm sure, but I've told all of them, there is indeed a list. But that list rotates every day, and it really depends on who's failing a class, who's getting a ticket for minor in possession, who's asking for money or just getting on my nerves. So every parent in here knows there's a list. It just rotates a bit, and it is not true that they're all my favorite, but it does rotate a little bit. So the final straw on this was I went to visit Paige at college. Some of her friends probably vaguely remember this night, but no, sorry. This was the time Whitney went to visit her. And they're all getting ready and they're gonna take Whitney out on the town, and all of a sudden, they're ready to leave, and Whitney overhears one of Paige's roommates say, "Hey, don't forget Robert." And that's my legal name. And that is the credit card that I gave Paige when she went to college. So little did I know that some of this group, or way back here, know that I was paying for almost every party at Upstate. Well, here's the good news, Paige. You, just like Leah and Whitney, you're marrying the guy who you'll be number one.
Go for it, baby.
So, Bailey and Hannah, it's down to you two. Let's let the sucking up start tonight. I know this is all over the place, but this is just how it goes. Brian has learned quickly that with Paige, there's really no secrets. We'll always know if he's sporting a new pair of Lululemon pants, if he hit his quota, and if he has a zit on the back of his neck. Not only is he sort of used to it, at this point I think you like it, Brian. So I'm wrapping up. This is okay. So let's see. My mom tells me that for having 5 girls is my payback for being what she says is a handful. Right. Others would say just a total jackass growing up. And that's the payback that I get. But with this, I get guys like him. So.
That's right.
This is harder than I thought. The last one was so much easier. Is it that obvious? I wanted a roaster, but not that hard. So one more thing, before we toast Paige and Brian, I do have one more thing. Brian's brother Patrick serves in the Army. He's getting deployed in January. So I just think we should all thank him.
Yeah.
Okay. So Paige and Brian, to toast them, please. I wish you a lifetime of happiness together.